What is up, MMA fans, and happy holidays? I am Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and today I am joined by an 8-year veteran of the sport, looking to score the most definitive moment and win of his fighting career on New Year's Eve in New York City. On that night, he will face Ali Isaev in the PFL Heavyweight Championship fight with $1 million cash prize on the line. It is a moment perfectly suited for a man dubbed The Big Show, and that is Jared Rosholt. Jared, thank you for giving me some time tonight. Good morning and happy holidays to you, sir.
Happy holidays. Thanks for having me.
Now, I have many questions for you this morning, but maybe one of the most important is a call back to our last conversation in the summer, and that is, how is the elevator installation apprenticeship going, and are you a full-fledged elevator installation Jedi Master yet?
No, I'm still in the apprenticeship part of it. It's a 4-year program, and I'm on the, I guess, second year of it. So it's going great, though. I really enjoy it. It's not quite as exciting as fighting, but it's pretty good, though. Not too many things are going to match up to that.
Now, you told me last time your work was over at the new Texas Rangers stadium that they're finishing up. That's will come out, I think, 2020. So I have to ask, somewhere in that building, did you leave a lasting mark on the building so the world will forever remember Jared Rosholt was there?
No, but that's a good idea. I'm not done there yet. So
Oh, all right.
I've got
time. Now, one thing that blew me away was, you talked about like your insane schedule for your first fight, during this season where you were waking up at 4 to go to work, then after you train, then come home just to eat and pretty much go to bed. Did you have to continue that throughout the season? And in a way, do you think that kind of that suffering with such a hectic schedule, instead of maybe hurting you, might, like most people probably think it would, maybe do you feel like it maybe put a new fire in you where you thought, I need to win this damn $1 million so I never have to do this shit again?
No, I like what I do and stuff, but no, it definitely, man, that's a tough schedule, and it hadn't changed since the last time I talked to you. It's the same thing, so.
So even now you're still doing it, preparing for the championship. You're still working on before going to work, everything.
Yeah, and I had, I had, excuse me, my brothers, both of them had called me and they said, hey, why don't you take some time off from work and just focus on the fight? And I'm like, I get that, but it's been working all right for me. So do I really want to change it now? I mean, trust me, I don't like that schedule. It's really hard, but, I've had success with it though. So, I hate to change it up,
Do you think, I mean, because most people will, and I totally get what your brother's saying too, why do you feel for yourself that it has been working? Do you feel maybe it has put a new fire into you? Do you feel like maybe just the regimented like schedule somehow works for you better? Eating at a certain time, training, why do you think that something so hectic and so tiring and so exhausting actually has proven so beneficial for you in some odd way?
I don't know for sure, but man, I feel stronger than I ever did before. And I think maybe it is from moving heavy things around all day, the steel beams and the rails and, the counterweights and stuff. I mean, just like 2 weeks ago, I was stacking counterweights and it was like, I don't know, 25 or 30 of them, but they're like 180 pounds each. So you're grabbing it, you have to fight it, put it over a railing and fit it into a slot and stuff. It's just, it's hard. It's but I always look forward to it too. I'm like, man, I'm getting my heart rate up this morning. So I always try to do it really fast. So it's almost like a little mini workout. But no, I mean, I get it. I thought about maybe taking some time off for it, but man, I hate to change anything up when it's been going pretty good.
No, I mean, that totally makes sense. Now, in the season opener, you told me you went away from your normal and you chose to stand with Goltsov because, you kind of just wanted to do something new, and that you actually enjoyed it. But since it didn't work out well for you, you would go back to, the grind that you are well known for. Now that you are in the $1 million fight, especially after just barely making it into the playoffs as a 7 seed, could have been a little dicier there if things worked out there for other people. Do you look back now like, wow, why the hell did I do that? It could have cost me big time. Or maybe do you look at like, you know what, that was for the best. It taught me a really important lesson early on, and it really worked out for me as the fights went on into the playoffs.
Well, I think it is important to get that reminder that, hey, this is, when you're going into treading these new waters that really aren't your waters to be treading in, with somebody like Gulsov, where, hey, that's kind of his grounds. That's striking is his forte. So, it is kind of a reminder, and it was a good reminder at a good time because, if it would have happened later, then you're out of the tournament. Maybe you lost the first round of the tournament. So it was a good reminder that, if you want to beat these guys, if you want to win, you want to get in the tournament and win the tournament, you really need to stick with what got you there. And for me, that's wrestling, obviously.
In the playoffs, you had to deal with something several fighters did this year in particular, in getting opponents changed at the last minute heading into the semifinals. You were supposed to fight Frantimar Barroso, a good proven veteran, but he could not continue. Instead, you had to fight Kevin Tiller, someone you split fights with last year, but beat definitively the second time around. When the change was made, were you in any way kind of like licking your chops a bit? Because while Kelvin is a very dangerous, very skilled fighter, his weakness is your strength. Or maybe because you got caught in a sub by him last year, did you feel like, I know he doesn't have the wrestling I have, but he's still very dangerous and very athletic, so maybe this is just as tough a fight as Francis would be?
I hadn't really trained for Kelvin, so that was the hard. I can tell you, I was in the back, and when they were switching the guys around, they said, "All right, Barroso's out," which I kind of figured I would fight him. Mm-hmm. Is kind of what I thought.
Yeah.
But if not, obviously it was going to be Nicholson. So I was like, okay. But then they said, no, Nicholson's out too.
Mm.
Then they said that Ishii was going to be the next guy. So then I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh man, I already went through a 15-minute fight with Ishii. Yeah. It was really hard. I was like, I really don't want to fight him again. I just remember sitting there, I'm like, oh man, I do not want to fight Ishii again. And then they said Tiller was actually the next one up in line. And, it was, well, he's real dangerous and stuff. He does some tricky stuff as well. He's pretty slick. Just go out there and, I already had the game plan from last year. Just go out there and basically just repeat it. So, and I pretty much did.
And for that's interesting. I'm glad you brought up, kind of just like, oh God, I don't like this matchup, because I talked to a few other fighters, and in the playoffs, and I talked to Ray Cooper, who got an opponent switch at the last moment kind of thing, and I talked to David Michaud, who was on the opposite end of a switch on the other side of the bracket, and they were kind of both like, whatever, just fight who you fight. So I'm glad to hear an honest answer. Like, I didn't like this matchup. I'd rather this one. The honesty. But what made it? Because I talked to you right before the Ishii fight and asked you questions about it. You felt good confidence in terms of the grappling, stuff like that. What made that one more of a like, oh God kind of fight? Is it because in a lot of ways are you guys kind of sort of similar? So would that fight have been a battle of inches, and one little mistake really could have changed it?
Yeah, I think so, because Ishii's obviously a incredible athlete, and he's an Olympic gold medalist in judo. Yep. So he's his hips and stuff. Man, you can just tell when you're messing around with somebody who's kind of a grappler, and man, they're just harder to get off balance. They're harder to take down. They're harder to keep down. And I just remember, that fight with him, that I was just like, man, this is just like, I'm exhausted. I think he's in great shape too, and we're both just out there trying to win. And man, I didn't feel like doing that again.
Now, last year you lost to Felipe Lins in the the eventual champion in the semis. First, how heartbreaking was it to fall short in the semifinals last year, and not making the finals fight where but even the runner-up gets some good money, so there's at least some pros in there. If you could have at least got to the finals and whatever, but also tell me about how heartbreaking it was, but also tell me about how gratifying it was to get right back into that position this year, get the job done, now heading to the finals. Does it make you look back on that fight again, almost like the misstep in Goltsov? Did it make you better for this year? Did you make you look at it a different way? Did you appreciate it even more?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps. I think when you lose, you kind of grow a little bit. You win and stuff, and that's great and everything. But man, when you lose, you really learn some things about yourself. And losing to Lens, and then him winning against a guy that I TKO'd in the UFC, it's like you're that close to getting what you wanted, and you just miss it. It is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And this year it was getting in that situation. I think it really prepared me for this year, where they were switching the opponents back there, and I was able to stay focused and deal with the adversity of them switching opponents on me. And I think that's because of last year. I think it really helped me overcome that adversity. Last year, it really bothered me the way that his first fight wins with was it Alencar, and I was like, man, this is like almost seemed like they set it up, So I didn't deal with it right. I mentally, it really bothered me, and I let it get to me. And this year, I could tell that I was frustrated when they were switching opponents all around. But I had my younger brother in my corner with me there, and he was like, "Hey, it doesn't matter. It's fine." You could tell that I was getting a little bit frustrated, and he's like, "Dude, it's not a big deal." He's like, "Relax." He caught it, He could tell that I was getting frustrated, but he got me to kind of reset and get back into the mindset. It doesn't matter. It's I've had 25, 26, 27 fights, something like that. It's like, hey, does it really matter? I mean, you're a veteran of the sport. You've done it so many times. Who cares who it is?
And I appreciate that honesty, because you hear so many guys, like I said before, like, oh, I'll fight whoever. Are you the type of guy that, for you to really feel right going into a fight, you sort of need to have done some background study? So especially with the playoffs, you kind of have to study possibilities of two guys further on. Are you a guy that likes to have some idea in your mind, what you're looking, what you're stepping into, and not so much oh, I know my skills, I'm just going to, put my skills on whoever and they don't have to deal with it? Is that probably why you were getting so bothered, because of the last minute changes and all the unpredictability?
Well, I just think I've never turned out a fight. I've never said no to anybody's fight. Any time in my career, anytime it's come up, I've never pulled out of a fight. I've never backed out of a fight. For me, I think it was, I knew what my skill sets were matched up against Barroso and with Nicholson. So I thought, well, one of these guys, my skills are matching up really good with them. And then, when they switch it like that, it's like, oh man, Ishii's a whole different animal when it comes to grappling and stuff compared to, say, Nicholson, So that was very frustrating. But I mean, like I said, it's just, had that many fights, does it really matter? You've never turned one down. You've never said, oh, these guys are, they're too good for me or anything like that. I've never thought that. So it's just staying focused,
Do you think that's, in a way, and again, it's a completely human emotion, is that just human athlete like self-doubt? Because you could easily be the guy that's like, been in the UFC, won in the UFC, I'm back in the semifinals for the second year in a row in PFL. I'm a pretty damn good heavyweight. A lot of people could be very confident with that. Is there some level of, like, even back to a deeper level, like just questioning yourself, that you kind of have to get by and just believe in the skills you really do have and the high level heavyweight you really are?
Well, I think you always have your demons of doubt, that's always something that, or at least for me, and I think for a lot of other athletes, is, you're always having that little bit of doubt, and and then you try and do things like work out harder to make sure that doesn't pop up. But no, I think after all this time and stuff, you just, what's new that you're going to see? What are they going to throw you that you haven't seen?
Exactly.
30 fights, and what are you going to see? A different kind of low kick that's going to happen. You've done all kinds of grappling. You've had great training. You've had great training partners. Was with a great team, had good coaching. What are you going to see? That you haven't seen already. It's really hard to, for somebody to make something up in this stuff that's new. It's pretty much been discovered already.
Now, what are your overall thoughts on your opponent on New Year's Eve in the PFL Championship, Ali Isaev? He wasn't necessarily, say, a standout in this season with big finishes like some guys were, but hey, he has to be pretty good if he's made it all the way to the final. So what are your overall thoughts from looking at him, scouting him with the team, his skills, his weaknesses, his strengths, those kind of things?
Well, this will be the second time I fought an Olympian this year. So
Is he a gold medalist?
No, I think he was a bronze.
Well, then he's not the best Olympian you fought yet.
But I think the guy that beat him tested positive for steroids, so he actually
Oh,
probably should have.
yeah.
I believe that's what happened. But no, he's incredible wrestler, incredible athlete. Like I said, it's a good thing I've fought high level guys before, so it's not like this is a big intimidation or anything.
Right.
He's had a lot of success in wrestling, and that's awesome for him. But he's undefeated. He's newer in the fighting. I think that with my skill set and stuff and my experience, I think is going to play a big factor for me. Like I said, he hasn't really had. I mean, he was having a tough time in that fight with Golsov, and he won with 1 second left on the clock. So, I don't think he's faced quite the problems I have in there and been through the grinds that I have. So that's definitely a positive for me, I think. But he's obviously very good, very talented, undefeated. But somebody's got to beat him.
and that perfectly transitions to my next question was on experience. 27 fights for you, 8 for him. I mean, obviously a huge advantage experience for you. How does something like that, like experience, play out in a fight? Because a lot of people, a certain skill set, wrestling, you can see it play out. You can see a certain kick, a technique play out. How does experience play out? Is it a kind of thing like in a bad position, you've just been through certain things, you know where to scramble, you know where to move on a certain submission, the optional, the different levels you can go through? How does experience like that play out in a fight to be advantageous for you?
Well, I think you never really feel 100% going into fights, and that's how you figure out how to get through them the best way possible. I've gone to fight nights where I've been not feeling very good. I fought Soa Palele with a fractured hand.
Oof.
I fought over in Dubai and I dislocated my shoulder through my AC joint 6 weeks before. And I didn't spar one time. I just did cardio and ran and stuff and still went there and fought. Those are experiences I think that are, very, very valuable to figure out how to win when you're not at your best. And like I said, it's really hard to be at your best every fight. So I think that experience is really important. I think I can go into, I can take my mind into some pretty dark places and really just tread the water. I'm actually pretty strong-willed like that.
I mean, you have to be if you're waking up at 4 a.m, go to work, then train and kids. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, this is a classic USA versus Russia matchup. As an old school wrestling guy, does that just make this heavyweight title fight seem almost more fitting and more perfect in that way? USA versus Russia.
Well, it is kind of perfect because when you grow up and you're watching Rocky IV, that's a big time movie for my house at least. Russia versus USA. It's how could it be any better?
You mentioned in our last talk about feeling the years of wrestling and fighting, that the knees are hurting a little more than now, the recovery is becoming tougher as you get older. If you win the million, is that a definitive finish on your career? You also told me, I listened back to the interview, you told Ray Seffel this could be your last year. You're not, definitely sure. Or will you take, time off, see how things are, see how you feel, see how the million is, how your body feels, and see if you want to go for 2 million? Or you, even like you mentioned to me, also you open to the idea of maybe international travel or fighting elsewhere, stuff like that, because the MMA market seems better than it was before. What do you think right now? How do you feel if you win that million? It's done, or let me take a little time and think about it.
I think go out there and win a million, and then definitely take a little break, sit back, and really decide if I want to keep doing it or not. It's not that I don't love it, and I like the training and stuff. Even with my schedule, I still enjoy it. The big thing for me is missing out on family time is a big part of it. Like I said, with getting home at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and basically eating and going straight to bed, most of my kids are in bed already when I get home. So I'm up and out the door before they're awake, and then they're in bed when I get home. So it's like you're missing out on a lot of family time.
Are you
And
looking?
that's the hard part for me.
Are you looking almost forward to not just the holidays to be passed, the fight to be passed, not because you want to get the fight over with, but kind of just get to January and kind of live like a normal life again? Just go to work, you come home, spend time with your kids. Are you looking forward to maybe that as much as you are the championship?
Oh yeah, I joke with my wife all the time. I said, "Wouldn't it be great if I could just come home afterwards?" She's like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." I'm like, "I wish I could, but I can't."
Do you
You
have
know,
do you have any ideas in mind for the million in terms of, like, I talked to a guy like James Krause. He told me a lot about investing his money, not using it right away and investing. I talked to Lance Palmer a couple days ago. He talked about his million that he won last year straight to investment. Considering you kind of have like a life lined up after fighting with the elevated installation, is it an idea kind of maybe take it, save it, or invest it, maybe elevated installation business for yourself, down the line? Do you have any ideas in mind? I know you don't want to get too ahead of yourself and jinx it, but are those some of the ideas if you do win the million?
oh yeah, I mean, I'm not a real big spender, anyways. I'm not a real flashy person, so I, you know, don't really need to see it. What's really nice about having this other career going on is that I have a weekly paycheck and stuff.
Mm.
Where the other guys, like back when I used to fight just full time and train full time, was man, it was really important to win because that was your lifeline. That was how you fed your family and
Mm.
stuff. And now it's like, well, I don't know. Some people like to some of my buddies like to joke like, man, you have a really cool hobby that pays a lot of money. I'm like, yeah, but it's not that easy. It's actually a lot harder than what it looks like. So, but no, that's like I said, that's a nice thing about having another career is I have great insurance, I have great retirement,
Mm.
I get paid well, and man, then I get to just go out there and just fight now, and you know whatever happens happens, but it's not like oh man, I have no money coming in.
Mm.
It's not like that anymore. That's the one thing I didn't like about fighting all the time was you double your money if you win.
Yeah.
So it's so important that you win that you'll do anything. And it's not as exciting, but hey, that's what pays the bills is winning.